Hey, what's up guys? It's Marv. Welcome back to another Asphalt 9 car review video. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Apollo Evo. Now, this is going to be a bit of a shorter video just because I've been pretty busy lately. So instead of doing multiplayer races and comparisons, we're just going to be covering multiplayer races. And before we get into it, I just want to mention, if you enjoy this content, be sure to like and subscribe. And of course, if you want to catch up with me, I am available on Instagram, Twitter, and you can always join the Discord where I hang out and talk with you guys all the time. So let's get right into the Apollo Evo. So first things first, can you look at this car? Look at how sick it looks. I think this is one of the coolest looking cars in recent memory in the automotive world. I absolutely love the design of this car. And of course, I have a special spot for Apollo in general just because of the Apollo N, which used to be the Gumpert Apollo all the way back in Asphalt 5. So I'm very happy that Apollo is still doing well. I believe they were bought out by a different company and whatnot, but anyway, the spirit, in my opinion, is still alive, and you can see it in this car. I mean, the design is amazing, but let's talk now about performance. And that is where we run into a bit of a trouble, because is the car as good as it looks? In my opinion, no, not really, especially for its rank. I think it is a tad overranked. Like with a lot of recent cars, the big standout feature for the Apollo Evo is its acceleration. That's what boosts up the car's rank a lot in B class. The acceleration is, I believe, 85, which, don't get me wrong, is very good. But if we take a look at the Panamera we took a look at in the last video, well, that's a C-class car, and that had an acceleration of, I believe, 88, which is nuts compared to 85, especially because that was a C-class car. Now, of course, that's in a different category. It has much lower top speed and different stats, but you can still see my opinion and my reasoning for why I think this car is overranked. It shouldn't have this high of a rank with only 85 acceleration and some other stats that are decent, but not very, very good, not class leading. And let's talk about that. So top speed is 229 miles per hour. Good, but not class leading. I mean, the other Apollo in class B beats it out by 10 miles an hour. Let's talk about handling. It's pretty decent, but it's not as good as something like the Huracan or the Corvette in terms of feel. And something that I've noticed is in Shockwave, you have that terrible characteristic that some cars have where it just feels way more stiff. Feels like you're trying to drive around a brick when you go into Shockwave. Now, it's not as bad as some of those other cars that have this characteristic, but it's still pretty bad. When you are in Shockwave, it is drastically harder to control than other forms of nitro, so keep that in mind. And the nitro efficiency is actually one of the worst parts about this car. Again, you can manage with it. It's not the worst thing, especially because it has good acceleration, so you don't need super long nitro, but it would always be nice to have more nitro efficiency, but at this rank, it just isn't that great. So unfortunately, like I said, the big standout feature is acceleration, and the other stats are good, but not good enough to justify the rank, and in my opinion, they are especially not good enough to dump a bunch of tokens into it. I don't think this is going to be a B-class king, and I don't think it's going to beat a lot of cars on a bunch of tracks. I mean, if we're talking about top speed tracks, well, the McLaren F1, even the Volkswagen W12, and some other B-class cars have that covered. And in terms of the twistier tracks, yes, this has good acceleration, but the Huracan Evo should get pretty close. I believe it gets up to 83 maybe acceleration, and of course the handling and nitro efficiency on that car are absolutely nuts, and it's not that much slower. I believe at max that car can go 222 to 223 miles per hour, which is only a difference of 6 or 7. If it were a difference of maybe 15 or so, then we would start talking about how this car might be better on twistier tracks, but unfortunately, that's just not the case. Of course, I do want to mention that with most of the videos taking a look at new cars in multiplayer, this is during its own dedicated season, so the competition isn't all of the game, so keep that in mind. Now, the competition for this season was the Panamera, the Racer Tachyon Speed, and a couple other cars, and this car definitely outshined a lot of those. Like, I was battling against the Racer Tachyon Speed a lot, even in top speed oriented tracks, because the acceleration was pretty good. However, that's not a big sample size for the game, and I'm not calling this car trash, don't get me wrong. I just don't think it's going to be worthwhile for most players to unlock, and I think there are other better cars in Class B that you could go for that have better specialties. Like, you could have a top speed king like the McLaren F1, and then you can have an agile car like the Huracan, or really a lot of other B-class cars. So This car looks absolutely amazing, and I would be head over heels trying to get this car. Well, I don't think I would anyway, because you need the Legend Pass to progress in the event, which is very unfortunate, but you get the point. If the car's performance reflected how good it looked, I would be head over heels trying to get this car at max, just like I did with the Apollo N when it came out so long ago. But unfortunately, that's not the case, and I'm not going to be caring that much about getting this car now. Hopefully I'll get it when it comes back around, maybe at 1 or 2 stars, just for the collection, just for how good it looks. But I'm not super eager to get this car, and I don't recommend that you guys become eager as well, because there are lots of other things that you can do right now in Asphalt 9, like I mentioned in the Panamera video, such as the Burst of Speed packs, and we have the 5th anniversary season coming up, and we also, I believe, still have the De Tomaso to look at as well, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Apollo Evo in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys later.